So picture this. I was sitting in my backyard just trying to watch some cool birds. I had this awesome bird feeder filled with seeds. But there was a problem, a big, furry, bushy-tailed problem. A squad of squirrels had declared war on my bird feeder. Tiny acrobatic ninjas, stealing all the seeds. The birds couldn't even get a bite. I knew I had to do something. I had a crazy, brilliant idea. The ultimate squirrel-proof feeder. You don't build something that complicated on the first try. That would be like trying to hit a bullseye from 100 yards away while blindfolded. You need a plan. My brain was buzzing with possibilities. Maybe it could spin around super fast if a squirrel jumped on it. Maybe it could have a little trapdoor. What if it was on a super slippery pole the squirrels couldn't climb? The ideas were flowing, but only in my head. I needed a cheap, fast way to test them. This is where the engineering magic begins. It's the secret step inventors use to make wild thoughts real. So I grabbed a cardboard box, duct tape, a plastic bottle, and a few strings. Okay, so what exactly is a prototype? Think of it like a rough draft for an essay or a sketch for a painting. Before you write your final paper for school, you write a first draft, right? You get all your ideas down, see how they fit, and find all the spelling mistakes. A prototype is just like that, but for an invention. It's an early model of your idea that you can touch, see, and test. It helps you answer one super important question. Does my idea actually work? It's way better to find out your idea has a flaw when it's just a simple model made of cardboard instead of after you've spent a ton of money and time building the final, fancy version. Prototypes are your secret weapon for making things better. Every time you build one, you learn something new. Maybe you discover that the button is too hard to press. Or maybe the toy you designed is not as fun as you thought it would be. Or like with my squirrel feeder, maybe it just completely falls apart. That's not a failure. That's called data. It's valuable information that you can use to improve your design. Prototyping is a cycle. You build, you test, you learn, and then you repeat. Now, let's break down the different kinds of prototypes. We'll start at the beginning with what we call low-fidelity prototypes. The fidelity part just means how detailed or realistic it is. So low fidelity means it's not very detailed at all. These are your quick, simple, and cheap models. Think about that very first squirrel feeder I made from a cardboard box and some tape. That was a perfect example of a lo-fi prototype. It didn't look anything like the final product, but it was just enough to test a very basic idea. The idea of a spinning perch. Lo-fi prototypes are all about speed. So what kind of stuff falls into the lo-fi category? The number one example is a paper sketch. Just drawing your idea on a piece of paper is a form of prototyping. If you're designing a new app, you could draw each screen on a separate index card. You can then show it to a friend and have them tap on the paper buttons, and you can switch the cards to show them what would happen next. Another great example is building with Lego bricks. If you have an idea for a new kind of toy car or a futuristic building, you can quickly snap some Legos together to see what the shape would look like in 3 dimensions. It's fast, easy to change, and everyone knows how to use them. Once you've tested your ideas with some quick lo-fi models and figured out a good direction, it's time to, level up. Welcome to the world of medium fidelity prototypes. As the name suggests, these are a step up in detail and realism from your paper sketches. They aren't quite the finished product, but they look and feel a little closer to it. A medium fidelity prototype might have some basic working parts, more realistic materials, and a more polished look. It's kind of like going from a pencil sketch to a detailed color drawing. You're starting to fill in the blanks and focus more on how the user will actually interact with your creation. For a new website or app, this could be a wireframe, a clickable digital prototype. This is where you use a simple computer program to make a version of your app that you can actually click through. For a physical product, like a new video game controller, you might 3D print a plastic model. It won't have the electronics inside, but you can hold it in your hands to see if it's comfortable and if the buttons are in the right places. Think back to our board game. Your Med-Fi prototype would be a big step up from the paper version. You've sketched, you've built, you've tested, and you've learned. Now you're ready for the final boss of prototyping, the high-fidelity prototype. This is the one that looks and works almost exactly like the final product. It's so close to the real thing that someone might not even be able to tell the difference. A hi-fi prototype is made with the right materials, has all the working parts, includes all the beautiful graphics and details. The purpose is one final check before mass production. Mass production is very, very expensive. So what's in the hi-fi category? For an app or website, visually perfect and completely clickable. For a toy, a factory-made sample that looks and feels store-ready. Each stage is essential. Start broad and messy with lo-fi. Refine and test interactions with med-fi. Perfect and polish with hi-fi. It turns a crazy idea into a real working invention. So grab some paper and tape and start building.